We've had a glimpse of the Absolute Universe's Batman and Wonder Woman. Well, we now get to see a glimpse of the Absolute Universe's Superman in Absolute Superman #1, the final member of the DC Trinity. Is this Superman going to be a beacon of hope for the people like he is in the regular DC universe? Well, today we might just find out. Hello, everyone. I'm Mr. Beefy, and this is Saturday Morning Comics. Absolute Superman was released on November 6, 2024, and is written by Jason Aaron and art by Rafa Sandoval. I have enjoyed Jason Aaron's work in the past on other titles. Let's see and take a closer look at the comic to see if I enjoy this one. Alright, so here we are with Absolute Superman #1. First off, I like the cover. I'm kind of liking this design of Superman. As we see here, we got some little designs in the armor, and he's got these interesting little glowing parts on, which we'll see a little bit later in the comic. So we start off with a shot of Krypton, and it talks about how Krypton was ruled by its cities. And unlike other interpretation of Kryptons, at least ones that I have read, this Krypton is based around a class system. So at the top of it, you have these guys called the Clerics, who are in the Science League of Krypton. So as we see here, a closer up shot, these are the Clerics of the Science League. So these are like the ruling class on Krypton. They're supposed to be the most smart minds on the planet, and as Cal says here, his parents were not among them. And if you notice their chest, that'll play in it here in a little bit. Early on, we get a shot of Kal-El's mom, Laura, working on basically an old farm equipment for someone she knows. If you notice, she has the classic S on her chest, and we find out that at a young age of 9, she was kind of set to go into the cleric level. However, she basically said, I want to be an astronaut and I want to go into space, and that was not approved of by the ruling class, and so she kind of lost her status and is not part of that upper level. So this is the part of the comic that kind of explains the class structure in Krypton. So as I said earlier, the science class had the sun symbol on their chest, while the bottommost rung of the ladder toiled the labor guild. So this symbol was, instead of like a sign of hope that we're used to with Superman, this was more of a sign of shame, unskilled labor. However, it is mentioned here as we go through that it was worn with pride. They wore it with pride, and they were basically considered themselves people of steel. So that's going to play into the Man of Steel. So these people worked for a living. They made things with their own hands. So while it was a mark of shame in Krypton, some of those people saw it as a sign of pride for them because they were the hard workers. And so that's where Kal-El's family ended up. And this is the part in the comic in which we're introduced to Jorrel. We find out he is working in the mines to harvest the energies of Krypton. Basically, and this is kind of one of the more silly parts here, this man here gets mad at Jorrel because his workers aren't working. So what is he doing? Jorrel's like, there's some danger going on. And he calls himself from the League of Middle Management. While I think the Science League is interesting and I think the Labor League is interesting, for some reason I just found the League of Middle Management, which that would be what that symbol is, to be a little bit silly. I don't know. They maybe could have come up with a better name. I'm not sure. It's fine. It paints the picture that you need. But I thought that was kind of funny. At least I found it funny. But basically, we learn about Jorrel was that he was also going to be considered a top mine in Krypton. However, he criticized the mining of the resources and how it could be dangerous to Krypton in the long run. And so we get a kind of a shot of something happening here which we all kind of know the story in the regular DC universe as to what happened. So we skip ahead a little bit in time. We leave Krypton, come to Earth, and we're looking at Brazil. And basically, we're looking at these people who are mining for their living in these dangerous caves. They are kind of forced to work, and what is interesting about the Absolute world here is these are the Peacemakers. So instead of one Peacemaker like I'm used to, there is like a squad of them, and that's what they're called, the Peacemakers. Well, they were telling these people they need to get back into the mine to earn their pay. They go into the mine and find that all of these diamonds are already mined, crushed, and ready to go. So it just happened randomly. They didn't know why. But then we kind of get an idea as to who it might have been. So here's the previous night. We see our Kal-El, young Kal-El, who's using his X-ray vision there. And it's showing them there with his red eyes. And then we get a little bit closer look of the Peacemakers. So, pretty cool design, but yeah, Peacemakers, not heroic at all. We get a shot of Kal-El here with some solar charging going on. I will say another critique of the comic, and this is that part, is there is a little spelling mistake. Peacemakers right here is missing the E. Honestly, if you're reading the comic, odds are your brain's not going to recognize it if you're reading it quick, but if you slow down kind of like I did, I noticed that right there. So a little mistake on a comic that I think would be considered one of the big ones for the Absolute universe. But yeah, like I was saying earlier, Peacemakers, our squad, is going by Kal-El, and there's some really good art. I will have to say, I did enjoy the art in this comic a lot. There's those glowing gauntlets. I don't know if I'll call them a gauntlet, but the sleeve part. And I really like this splash page, and we get to see Kal-El kind of in all of his glory. Doesn't have a cape or anything yet, but he does have that same type of armor we saw on the cover. Kind of looked like what Jorrel and them were wearing. And then on his legs and hands, he's got the glowing gauntlets, and then he's got the labor symbol. You know, the symbol of the people of steel. So I really, like I said, the art in this is great. I'm loving everything about it. Some small minor critiques, like I said, with that one typo, but the art in itself is really solid in this comic, in my opinion. So here's a shot of Kal-El saving some of the workers in his battle with the Peacemakers, and I find this kind of interesting. One, he's talking to his suit, I believe. He calls it Soul. But another interesting thing is this is him zipping around really fast, and you can kind of see little different spots of him. So what I find interesting about this is usually we think of Superman as a blue blur. This looks more like energy, so it kind of reminds me of the days of Superman Red and Blue. I don't know if that's what they're going for or just a different take because they're doing a solar energy thing, but it's something to kind of look forward to see exactly what is going on with Kal-El. So, in this Absolute world, who are the Peacemakers working for? Well, they are working for the Lazarus Corp. And we get to see a shot here after that battle of someone who kind of, I don't know, it gives me the impression of Brainiac. It's not specifically stated in the Lazarus Corp. And we get this shot to just show kind of how this world is different than what we're used to. We're in Kansas. We see a dilapidated barn, a busted Kent mailbox, and property of Lazarus Corp. So this universe, this Kal-El did not grow up with the Kents. So that's going to be a big difference in this universe. How will it play out? Will it change much? We'll just have to wait and see. So I think I'm going to end this quick look with a shot here of Laura and Jorrel basically talking about the beauty of Krypton and how it's going to be gone one day, because Jorrel just came back from the mines, and he knows that one day Krypton is just going to be no more. So that was my quick look at Absolute Superman #1. At the beginning, I asked if Superman was the same beacon of hope that he's always been in the DC universe. Well, in this case, I think he is. While his symbol on his chest might not signify hope like it has in the past, he wants to fight for the working person, as we saw in this. And so from that perspective, I think he is going to be a sign of hope for the Absolute Universe. As far as the Absolute Universe goes, or Superman, I do feel like this is a must-read, and I really felt like out of the 3 titles that we've seen so far, Absolute Superman #1 is the strongest, and if I had to rate them, I'd rate them Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman, which I still enjoyed Batman, I just felt like I wasn't as interested in it as I was the other 2. As far as picking this book up, I would highly recommend it. I left out a couple spoilers, so you haven't seen everything. I hope you enjoyed this short little review of Absolute Superman #1. I want to thank you for stopping by. Now go grab a comic and have a great rest of your day.